So my presentation today was about half a dozen consumer trends for 2014, really just taking a bit of a snapshot of some of the things that we're working on at the moment. We're covering a number of different bases. As I said, what I want you guys to do is sit back, soak up and think about what are the examples in here, what are the trends, what are the examples that you guys can take back to your teams and say, what are we doing with this? You know, what are we doing similar to this? How can we apply this in our business? So the first trend we've got here is this idea of honest flexibility. Right? Now we've been tracking the mega trend towards kind of more human brands, more personal brands for a number of years. As I said in the intro, for those of you who are familiar with trend watching, we give a lot of our trends these kind of slightly painful neologisms. We came up with flawsome a couple of years ago, which was the idea that, you know, actually for businesses, being a little bit more open, being a little bit more honest about some of your flaws actually isn't the end of the world for consumers. Right? Consumers actually will respect and trust you more if you open up to them. So how is this trend going to evolve? It's not just about admitting your flaws, it's not just about being honest about them, it's about preempting consumer frustration. Right? It's about taking a long, hard look at your business and seeing what are the pain points for customers, right? And doing something about it. It doesn't always have to be perfect, right? But it's about getting out there and saying to consumers, we understand, you know, where there's an issue here, and this is what we can do about it. And maybe, you know, we know maybe that's not even perfect, but we're going to do something, you know, to help you out. I think the most important thing for us, which, you know, we understand it's challenging for people because no one has any time, but it's just about being curious and getting your head up and looking around, really. You know, I think the thing that we always come back to is, you know, the best innovations often are already out there, you know, and what you as a business person can do is look around, see and try and understand what could work for your customers, what could excite your customers, and, you know, think about how can you learn lessons and how can you take inspiration, if you like. Which brings us on to the why. You know, why do you care about consumer trends? Why should you care about consumer trends? Well, for us, there's a very clear link between watching consumers, watching their behavior, understanding their behavior, changes in their behavior, and using those insights in order basically to spur innovations, to launch innovations into a more receptive marketplace. Right? And I should also add at this stage that, you know, we're standing here with an agenda. We have a very clear agenda, but that agenda is the consumer, is the shopper's agenda, right? Because actually, if it's just about making money, then you're on the wrong side of where consumers want you to head. You know, we believe we're fundamentally deeply optimistic about people, about shoppers, about consumers, that, you know, all things being equal, given the choice, people want a better future for themselves, for society, for the planet. People are aware of the macro trends. I think possibly where the gap is, you know, thinking about how do I use some of those trends? You know, I think there's a translation gap almost. You know, how do I go from, you know, sustainability as a megatrend, from big data as a megatrend, from transparency as a megatrend? You know, how do I translate that into, you know, actually greater success as a business? And I think, you know, the first thing to say there is, you know, if you're not putting the consumer at the heart of what you're doing, then, you know, any translation you tried to make is going to be skewed. And I think this is one of my favourite examples, just on a smaller scale, of how you can take guilt-free to its extreme. This is a sushi restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut, right? And they have a range of sushi that, you know, not only is ethically sourced, but it actually comes from species that are non-native species, right, that have found their way over to New Haven, to Connecticut, and are actually destroying the local habitat, that are taking over and pushing out the original things. So think about that. As a consumer, you are not only guilt-free here, but you are actually doing your duty to the local environment. You are actually, you know, positively contributing. You have to go and eat that sushi, right, if you care about the local habitat. But, you know, think about, it's a fun example, but think about the story that gives customers. You know, think about that trigger. You know, you're not just guilty anymore. You're not even guilt-free. You actually feel obliged to eat that sushi. When we're talking about applying trends, obviously every business is different. Everyone will have their own moment of innovation. But for us, there's a couple of key, if you like, dimensions that you can apply trends on. The first one being actually where in your business will you apply them? Is this a marketing innovation? Is it a product innovation? Is it a service innovation? Or getting up, if you like, up the value chain, is it a business model innovation? Is it even a vision? Is this a trend that will shape your vision? And actually, of course, a lot of trends apply across all of those categories. Is a sustainability campaign, is that a marketing innovation, or is it being shaped by the bigger vision of the business? So, of course, the lines blur. But and then the other dimension, if you like, of where you can apply trends is thinking about who you will apply them for. And I think that's something often people struggle with, is to say, this is only a niche trend. It's only a certain segment of consumers are living that. But I think, for us, if you take a step back and if you think about trends in an expansive sense and think about, what are the basic human needs that some of these trends cater to, then actually there are always opportunities to take things that are currently reside within one customer segment and expand them into new segments.